Hey guys, welcome back to Lavender Polish. Today we're going to be doing another swatch and review and we're going to be looking at some polishes by Double Duchess. Now, in the interest of full transparency, Double Duchess did send me these three polishes for free in order for me to swatch and review them on my Instagram feed a few months ago. However, there was no talk of videos or YouTube. They have no idea that I'm making this. So even though they did send these to me for free, these opinions are fully my own and I'm going to try and make them as unbiased as possible for you guys. Now, as usual, I'll save all my thoughts and opinions for the very end. Right now, let's get straight into the swatches. Now, for obvious reasons, we're going to start out with Lavender Macro. It is a gorgeous, soft purple shade. I absolutely love how it looks. And actually, this is something that I didn't know about these before I opened the bottle, is that they're actually bubblegum scented. Now, it doesn't cover the smell of nail polish perfectly. Like, you can still tell that it's nail polish when you sniff it, but it is so much better than the regular nail polish smell that we're all having to put up with and try not to pass out over. It's kind of sweet and subtle. Obviously, don't sit around smelling your nail polish bottles, but you know, it's kind of unavoidable when you're painting your nails. You're gonna end up getting it in your nose. So it's kind of nice that this one doesn't make me want to gag. I was very impressed with the opacity on the first coat. You guys know that Essie is my go-to cream brand, but honestly, even just with this first polish, this is a strong contender for my new favorite. Look at how well that opacity goes on. It's a light pastel going on my long nails in just 2 coats. Even just with 1 coat I think would work fantastic on shorter nails. The opacity is absolutely incredible. As you can see, it's very soft, almost squishy. It dried quite quickly. Incredible. I can't believe I've never used these before now. Next up is Creamicle, which is this beautiful, bright, punchy orange. Again, it's such a bright color. It's going on fantastically for the first coat. It's definitely not fully opaque. You can see a little bit of my nail line and there's some unevenness to it, but I am not mad about that. You guys know I'm fine with 2 coats on polishes. So I threw on a second coat just to clean things up a tiny bit and it was looking gorgeous again. This one doesn't look as squishy as lavender, but it still looks nice and smooth. They self-level really well. I swear I'm not just saying this because they sent these to me for free. I was genuinely really impressed by the quality of these creams. And we'll get more into that later because right now we're going to take a look at Jacaranda, which was the 3rd and most interesting polish they sent me. Now, they did give me a heads up that with some of their newer polishes they started to make their own brushes and that this was going to be a bottle that had one of their own brushes to it. Unfortunately, it looks like they had a little bit of an issue because the brush, as you can see, is kind of skewed to one side, which makes it a little bit hard to work with. However, I'm going to assume that this was just a bit of a batch issue, a small oversight, and I'm not going to judge it too hard because ultimately I'm here to talk about the polish itself and not the brush. Now, after the first coat, I was getting a little bit anxious about this one. As you can see, it's quite thin. I noticed that the formula itself was very liquidy. It felt kind of watery, which is really not something that I like to go for in a polish because it can make it a bit harder to avoid flooding your cuticles. However, I thought that the effect it gave off was quite interesting as a sort of purple shimmer with these red glitters scattered through there. And it's certainly not something that I would have particularly reached for on my own, but I do really like seeing it on my nails. I put on the second coat and I was actually quite impressed with how well it started to cover things up. I thought this one might take 4 coats on me, but after the second coat I was thinking, you know what, maybe I only need 3. Maybe this isn't as watery as I initially thought. And I was right. Once I put the 3rd coat on with this kind of finicky brush, I was able to get very good coverage and be able to see the full results. Now, I'm not super frustrated with the fact that it took 3 coats because especially when you have polishes like these that have different sort of glitters throughout the layers, it can be kind of nice to have multiple layers because then you get to see the glitters sort of appearing at each of the different depth levels within the polish that kind of can create a bit more of an interesting effect. The glitters did make it dry less smooth than the other 2, but once you put on a top coat, that's not going to be an issue anymore. Of course, any glitter polish is going to be like that. You know, I can't say I love it. You guys kind of know what my style with polishes is a little bit more, and this one isn't something that I typically go for, but I do really like it and appreciate it when indie brands kind of go that extra step and try and create something new and interesting that hasn't been seen before. At this point, nail polish has evolved to an extent to where it's kind of hard to find really unique things. You know, now at this point we have hollows and multi-chromes and thermal polishes and all this crazy stuff going on. It's kind of hard for brands to compete and come up with their own unique thing. So I like that Double Duchess is doing that. Just because it's not my thing doesn't mean it can't be your thing. But let's talk about some final thoughts. Okay, so the 2 cream polishes sold for $12 each, and I think Jacaranda may have actually been limited edition because I can't find it on their site anymore to tell you guys what the price was. But looking at the other items they have listed, it would have been, I believe, around $12 to $13. So $12 for a cream is a little bit high compared to drugstores, but it's actually quite spot on compared to other indie brands. Now, you guys know I like to get my creams from Essie because you can get them pretty easily at the drugstore. So $12 of course is much more than $9 to $10, which is what Essie tends to go for. However, you are getting 2 extra milliliters from Double Duchess compared to Essie. So if you are looking for some more interesting colors and you want that assured good formula, I would suggest going to Double Duchess to find some creams if you don't necessarily want to get from drugstores all the time. And on top of that, while Essie usually has a good formula. It's not necessarily the best, especially some of their darker polishes or some of their really light polishes can take quite a few more layers to build up. While I've only tried 2 from Double Duchesses, they have been from very different kinds of polishes, one very bright, one very subtle, and they're both 2 coats. So I actually did find them quite impressive. I would argue that they're pretty evenly matched because, like I said, one's more expensive, it does have more polish and seems to be a bit more reliable, while the other one is much more convenient and a little bit cheaper, so it's really just up to you which one you prefer. If you want my recommendation, I really did like Lavender Macro, of course. I can't help myself with anything purple. But actually, I did just go and find Lilacism, which is my go-to Essie purple. Now, the shades are a little bit different, but I really liked how Double Duchess went on my long nails in just 2 coats, even though it's light pastel. Whereas Lilacism, while I love Essie, does take about 3 coats when my nails are really long, because it's hard to make your formulas cover really long nails. Nobody's fault. But Double Duchess, they're doing it. So I was really excited about that. I do love the scent of it. Again, it doesn't cover it completely, but it does make it a little bit more bearable when you're spending a lot of time doing swatches or something and you don't feel like you're dying from the god-awful scent of nail polish fumes. And I think that that is about all I have for you guys right now. I know this was a bit of a shorter one, but there were only 3 polishes for me to swatch, and hopefully I think we'll be posting a lot more sooner because my school year is coming to the end. I'm in the post-production stage for this short film I'm working on, so I'm not spending my weekends on set or anything anymore, so I'll have a lot more time to actually do my nails and talk about nail polish and make this sort of stuff, which I also find really fun. I'm really excited. So I'd love it if you guys could tell me what you want to see from me. So let me know if you want me to do more swatch and reviews, more nail art videos, if you want to send me money to do more swatch and reviews because they're expensive and I'm not making any money. That would be really appreciated. Oh, and before I forget, feel free to go over and check out my Instagram account. I post my swatch photos there, as well as all my nail art tutorials, and even some tutorials that don't make it to YouTube because they're a bit too short and simple to warrant a full long video. So go check that out. I'm almost at 1,000 followers. I'm really excited for it. And I will see you guys later. Bye! On my Instagram feed a few months ago. However, they have no idea that I'm making this video.